Hello and welcome to the Global Podcast. My name is Gwinzer and we are here today to talk just a wee bit about what's going on in the world of Global Conflict. If you're not aware, Global Conflict is a Battlefield community who play on PC every week. You can go ahead and visit us at global-conflict.org to know more. With me today we have Ghoul.
Hello.
Matsif.
Hello.
Robert Willis.
Evening.
Lord Gonzo.
Hello.
And Whiskey Duck.
Hey guys.
And today we're going to talk a wee bit about today's battle, the latest updates in terms of the GC risk system, and also about Red Orchestra 2-day that we're going to be running. So Matsif, as our other TA, do you want to fill us in on how today's battle went?
Yeah, so today we played 5 maps, which was one more than last week, and MEU attacked. They won 3 territories, taking North Pole, Omsk, and Mongolia, and with the taking of Omsk, broke the territory, or the theater control that Gozi won last week. And then they also attacked Yukon and Zimbabwe, and failed on both of those attacks.
Well, how were they to spectate?
Today's battles were alright to spectate. I think the Dragon Pass, that's just a boring map to watch, to be honest, because not very much happens in it. It's all fights over one flag, and then the bombers going off every couple of minutes. But everything else seemed really, really great. I don't think we had any spectators for Firestorm because everyone was playing.
Yeah, I came in a little bit late and watched the last round of Guyland Peaks on North Pole, and then the Yukon and Omsk, Caspian border, and Guyland Peaks 32. And then I ended up playing the rest of the day because of numbers, so, you know, finally getting some TA time and actual gameplay. But Caspian border is always a good one to watch, so that's always interesting. Guyland Peaks, because we were playing the infantry-only variants and not using the bomber, I spent most of the time just sitting in front of the bomber to make sure nobody used it, so it was a little boring on my end, but I was up at 4 a.m. this morning, so it was okay, because I just kind of snoozed. But yeah, today, you know, getting to play the last couple rounds, I had a lot of fun playing on Firestorm, just because it's been a while for me personally getting a chance to play, just because I've generally been the person sitting in spectator and running the server during the battle day, so it's a different experience for this campaign so far. Got to blow up some people with an air burst and stopped a couple of attacks with blowing up some fire canisters. I think I actually got you a couple times with that goal. It was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. I don't care for Firestorm. Never liked the map either in Battlefield 3 or 4. I don't care for it. I don't think the new version of it's any better. Then again, it's just too chaos for me. You know, you can't set down a field of fire and expect anything to happen from that. You got to be more dynamic than I'm able to be as a player, and yeah, just running around like crazy. So I don't really care for the map. However, I do think that the Caspian border map was it was a great map to begin with in Battlefield 3. I think it's even a better map now. It's just it's a beautiful map. It's a lot of fun, and there's a lot of strategies there. I don't know what Gosi was doing today and how they managed to materialize 3 tanks at that Echo flag on more than one occasion, and we're there, and all of a sudden there's 3 tanks there. And it's like nobody on our entire team, commander included, could figure out where the hell they were coming from. So it's pretty interesting to see, and it seems like there at the end what they were doing was driving them slightly out of bounds so that they don't show up on the commander's view or something. We don't really know what they were doing, but we finally figured out how to counter it there at the end by posting someone out there way out there in the field to make sure we had a heads up those tanks were rolling into the Echo flag. Had a lot of fun on that map today. Don't like Firestorm.
Firestorm was pretty good for me.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah. At the end of the second set of maps on the Gullion Peaks that we played, the commander was yelling for Rob's head. He was planning on handing out some kind of medal or award if someone could knife you in the last 30 seconds of the game.
Firestorm.
No, I don't think that was Firestorm. That was one of the Guyland Peaks.
Yeah, Gullion Peaks.
But still, that offer still stands. If somebody knives Rob or anybody from the enemy high command, they're gonna get a medal.
I'm quite surprised that Ninth didn't attack any of the Naval Strike maps yet. You've yet to see those in the campaign. They've been fully released.
we didn't think about attacking it last off, but it wasn't really in our strategy for today. And when we had time at the end, we were talking about maybe doing it, but then we decided, since we were likely to only get one round in and then have to play the other round on our next attack, we weren't gonna do it.
That's why I think that it should be a single round. It can only be attacked on as the last attack on a battle day as a filler. When we can't get 2 or 3 rounds in at the end of a battle day, then it can be used as a filler so that we can play when we're around on something. Are those maps included on any theater, or are they a theater all by themselves?
No,
No,
they
it's-
are not a theater whatsoever, actually. If you capture them, it will count towards your world control points, so capturing them will give you that bonus, but there is no island theater. So you can attack them and capture them, and it's like taking another territory, but there is no attached theater bonus.
So I think that maybe that should be revisited, for the proposal that I'm making there. That a single round one will take the territory for the initial possession of that map and turn it from gray to either red or blue. Otherwise, nobody's going to attack them because it doesn't further the goal of controlling a theater.
Unless they're worth more points than just owning one territory.
No, currently they count for one, so, but that's something we
something
can
we can
bring
still
up
look
to
at,
the
yeah.
something we can bring up to the high commands and come to a consensus and see what happens from there.
Yeah, we would certainly, given they're not part of a theater, like to give some form of bonus for owning them. So we want to encourage attacking those maps, because I think so far we've played pretty much the same maps from Scrim 1 to now. I don't think there's anything been, at least since the BFI, that has been new.
Firestorm.
I believe the Firestorm.
Yeah, okay, well
was-
Firestorm I'm getting a wee bit tired of some of the maps that are attacking. I'm looking forward to getting something completely different like the Naval Strike maps are in play.
Yeah, let's
Yeah,
never
you
play
don't need
Ghouling
to-
Pigs again.
You don't need to play a lot of Firestorm either to get kind of bored.
Yeah, from experience from BF3 suggests that Firestorm hasn't changed enough in BF4 to make it much better than it was back then. So, what was it? Was it campaign 6 or campaign 5 where it was played like 4 weeks in a row or something like that, and everybody was just tired
Campaign
of it?
3, campaign 4, I think. Campaign 5,
think
I
it was
avoided it
all of
like the
them.
plague.
I think it was just all of them. Like I remember it going back, with the exception of campaign 2 of BF3. Like that was one of the maps that was just played all the time. Just because I don't know if that was just how the placements ended up or what, but I remember spending a lot of time in a tank on Firestorm back in the BF3 days. So
Yeah, and there's even less happening if you're taking the infantry version like we did today. But if you want a certain territory, that's all you can do. We were really hoping to take it today, just so we don't have to do it or attack it another time. So
what was
it's
the
all
other
up Rossi.
one? Sitting on spectating on Caspian today, I was thinking to myself, and I realized I don't know how to play Caspian as infantry. Because in all my time in GC and BF3, I either didn't play that map because I was going to FC the round before or round after, and then took that round off because Runaway was going to FC that map because that was his map back in the day, or I was in a tank the whole time. So I don't think I ever know how to play infantry on that map.
Well, all the new changes for BF4 changed it so drastically for infantry, but like you said, or like someone said, it's a lot more fun actually in BF4.
Yeah, the fighting on Delta is more intensive now than in BF3, I believe.
Yeah, the
Just
extra
because
Become
of the
attacks.
more,
underground area.
yeah, it becomes more dynamic. To be fair, that you can destroy a lot of things now.
What was that? And back in I just remember times on Caspian when I did get to play, just people being up on there, Sprees being one of the guys, just not even having a kill for the whole round, but leading the team with just revives up on that Delta flag back in the BF3 days, and just craziness up there. Now that there's more paths, and personally for me, I like this new autumn color scheme that they have on it too. I think the map itself looks really, really good to me, which for some of the other maps in BF4 I can't say the same, but
The one thing I don't like is the burning grass everywhere. That just kind of gets annoying.
Yeah, it's funny that mechanic probably should have been, or I imagine they thought it was going to be a lot more impactful. But you're right; it's just kind of like a little visual thing. You can drop people's frame rates, and it deals damage to people, but it is just kind of annoying, hey.
not to go back to Firestorm, but all the fire on that map, I just running through parts, back at the Charlie flag, you'd have a blown up gas tanker or something, and I could just feel my computer just start chugging until I got out of it and then back up, and I'm like, oh, I can see again. This is great.
I think
Yeah, totally.
I think the Caspian border is a really good example of where the big differences between Battlefield 3 and 4. That map, more than any in my mind, when I think about it, there's got a lot of tactics there. There's the walls. There's those tank barriers that can be raised and lowered that are actually you can't go around them. You gotta put them down and get your tanks through. And I'd really like to see Dice continue this, tactics here. Being able to blow things up and block roads, or maybe create craters that have to, have engineers that come and repair them or something, so that you can free up a lane and let tanks get through. I like the tactics when there's something beyond just point and shoot at the enemies, that you can do things to fortify your defenses and really lock down an area.
Yeah, totally. Sorry. Siege of Shanghai is actually like a really fun pub map, but I haven't played it in GC yet, and I'm not even sure if it's on our campaign map.
It is.
But how does it go in GC?
Well, I don't think we've actually played it this campaign yet, to be
Which one's
honest.
that?
With the Shanghai. I don't think we've played it this campaign with all the weapon disables that we've done. But I don't remember last campaign when we played it. It was a mess, just because, like, if you're playing in a tank, which for me that's what I normally did before being a TA, it was just hell. Just because you get people with PLDs and SOFLAMs on all those roofs, and you can't move, and it's just it shows some of the, as good as some of the Caspian design was that Ghoul was hinting at earlier. It shows some of the bad design that DICE decided to put in too, because with all those lock-on weapons, as a vehicle player, Shanghai is terrible to play on, in my opinion. I mean, there's one roof we found during the beta. I know myself, Stony, Kerdazar, I don't know if Rob, if you were involved in that, or Gonzo, but we found this one roof near the Bravo flag where if you're China, you can get up there and lock choppers from the U.S. Spawn zone as they're taking off. So you just sit up there with an SRA or something, and you can lock down the entire opposing air force before they can even move. And as you're an infantry player, that's illegal play in GC. So I don't think we've played it yet this campaign, so it might turn out to be a little bit more interesting. But at the same time, last campaign, that map, for me at least, was one of the worst, just being in a vehicle.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, the gameplay in GC is so different than a pub match, right? Because we're organized, we're communicating, people are playing the objectives, and I don't know, everything feels a lot more controlled, and also the teamwork amongst everybody is what kind of makes the difference. So Siege of Shanghai can be super fun as a pub because you've got helicopters ripping around and nobody's trying to take them down. And I don't know, it just feels like it was just a fun map that felt like all the points were interspersed, I don't know, reasonably well, some really good lanes and a lot of really different and dynamic sort of combat zones. But yeah, I'm interested to see what it's like in GC, and it makes sense to me that in the previous campaign you guys experienced an incredible amount of lockdowns and tanks and choppers not being able to move, and that would totally make it not fun. So I'm interested to see. Does anybody know if it's on the campaign map?
Yeah, it is. The 64 with vehicles and without vehicles are on it. I don't think the 32 versions are on, though. I think those the HC said no to those ones while we were cutting down the map list to fit on the campaign map.
Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Well, hopefully we'll see what that looks like. I'm really excited to play the new Naval Strike maps. I find them a lot of fun. So I'm kind of interested to see what it'll be like playing it with GC.
Yeah, they all seem to be really good. Yeah, it'd be nice if they add some more MCOMs to the carrier strike maps, or do something, get rid of that pair dropping spawn point, add maybe two more sets of MCOMs to give 3 complete sets inside the ship, so that it's not just game over as soon as one team breaches the carrier.
Yeah, it's too bad because like the concept of carrier assault is really cool and it's really fun up until one of the things is opened, right?
Yeah, that was. I was really excited for that because 2142 to me kind of seems to be the black sheep of the Battlefield family, just because it was when it came out, it wasn't really the community in general wasn't really ready for sci-fi at the time. Now I think if they remade 2142, it would be hugely popular. But the Titan mode in 2142 to carrier assault and BF4, it's just like, where did you go? What did you do? The missiles do too much damage. So like, I think even if you don't kill any MCOMs on the carrier, the round can still end within 20 minutes or something like that, which is a little bit crazy to me because Titan mode in 2142, those maps could last up to an hour sometimes. It was crazy. And then you know, that parachute spawn over the carrier is killer for me as well. That just removes so much of the, you know, tactical insertion that you had for the Titan in 2142.
Yeah, that's true.
Speaking of the, you know, like the siege of Shanghai and the lockdowns, you know, we've implemented this weapons ban list here, so that, you know, tanks have a fighting chance. You know, after we've done 3 official battle days now, how do we feel that that ban list is performing? You know, for the enjoyment of our air and armor players.
To be honest, it seems to be extremely effective. We haven't had any of the issues that we had last campaign. You know, it's overall the vast majority of people seem to be very happy and understanding with the chosen weapon bans, and
I mean,
they're really working as far as I see.
Yeah, same here. As far as I can tell, like the army balance, I think first of all is really really good this campaign, which just will go. We'll take the thing farther and make it more memorable in the long run. But I think this rule set of making it more BF2 like fits into our GC style of play a lot better than the okay, well, why don't you guys just all set up SOFLAMs here and then have a bunch of people take SRAs or Javelins, and then you don't have to worry about armor anymore because you can lock them from halfway across the map. For me as a vehicle player, BF4C1 was just absolute hell with all the lock-ons, and there are complaints that okay, well, this is the game, just get used to it and deal with it, but I really think that vehicle players overall, air and armor included, I think they're having a better time this campaign than they would have if we would have not done any of these.
Now, recently there's been a thread, you know, arguing about re-including some of these weapons. Have there been any subsequent patches that, I mean, for the Javelin, for example, now that they've patched that, is that something that we may reintroduce into the game? Is there really any reason to do it? I mean, what are your thoughts of that as a vehicle player?
Well, as a vehicle player, I really wouldn't like it just because I thought even back in BF3, I didn't like the idea that you could lock something from that far away and still hit it. I think it really took away from a lot of the vehicle experience, but that's as a TA and servant to the community, it's really, I don't feel it's my decision here. I feel it's if the HCs come to an agreement that they want to put it back into play, that's what we have to do. You know, if the community wants it, we should do it. And if that's what it comes to, then we put it back in play and we'll learn to adapt. So
I don't think I'm spilling the beans here when I say that we had a discussion in our in our HC, and with our officers. And while we see the logic behind maybe unbanning the Javelin, we don't see a reason to do it. Like, everybody feels fine as it is, basically, and I don't think we should mess with the formula that works.
To be fair, I'm in total agreement with you. I think what we got right now is brilliant. I don't think we need to change it anymore. Evaluate it. I mean, they made a major change in some of the way the mechanics have worked, then maybe, but they haven't yet. So
it seems it would seem weird to make a big change to banned weapons list or kind of anything else, kind of in the middle of a campaign.
Exactly.
Well, it wouldn't happen in the middle of a campaign, but you know, moving forward, you know, between campaigns, we always revisit stuff like that.
Oh yeah, that makes total sense.
The only
And
time
like
we have banned stuff is when it's been really game breaking. I mean, really game breaking.
I think this campaign, maybe some of it might have been a little bit reaching in some of the intent, but at the same time, I think the general community of GC, from what I can tell, is very accepting of this. And I think this campaign has really gone, in my opinion, a lot better than the last campaign went, and a lot better than a lot of the BF3 campaigns went with some of that stuff. Because I remember, like BF3C6 at the end of BF3's lifespan, you'd have strategies that were just make sure you have these SOFLAMs in these locations and then these people with javelins, and you can lock down all vehicles for the whole map. And for me as a vehicle player, it was very, very angering, but in BF3 it was a little bit easier to overcome because you had smoke that recharged a lot faster and actually worked. So we'll learn.
So if you could point out one thing to DICE that you'd like to see patched, is there one thing that stands out in your mind, specifically, regarding GC play, what would improve the gameplay for GC? That's something you'd like to see changed. For me, I'd like to see the friendly fire that mines can do. We can't lay down mines to protect a flag because our own tanks are going to drive over them and die. And in Battlefield 3, that wasn't an issue, and that would be nice for them to patch that so we can use mines and claymores once again.
Oh, but at the same time, that's how BF2 worked. And in my opinion, having not played 1942 with GC, BF2 was the epitome of Battlefield. So I'm willing to let that one go. I think the worst thing they did with this game was the active radar, hit scan, MBT law, staff shell stuff. That stuff is just... that just angers me whenever I play against it. If I'm trying to learn how to fly a helicopter and, oh, now I can't fly anymore because my rotor doesn't work because I got touched by an an active radar missile. That is the most infuriating thing in the game for me, other than the buggy engine that is completely unfinished, but that's another issue for another time.
Anyone else have something to add to that, as far as something they'd like to see that's possible that they could possibly patch to make gameplay for GC better?
I think the
really
jets
to answer
jet
this.
spawns.
Yeah, most of the game just seems pretty buggy in total. So if they could fix the game, I would be all for that. I mean, it starts
that's
with
very
the...
broad.
Yeah, sorry, but it starts with the netcode and it's a million little pieces that... invisible walls and buggy respawns. Like, every time I get revived, I get the shakes. I have to switch my weapons to get it off, and it's just, it takes you out of the game every time. More than any time before, when I get killed in this game, I go, what the fuck, because I just can't... Like, what I see on my screen doesn't reflect what's happening in the game, and that's frustrating.
All right, well, here's another question for you guys, for the community. We are playing a stripped down version of Risk this campaign, best 2 out of 3. And I assume that next campaign, all things going the way they are, we'll reintroduce a full-blown Risk system. Do we actually think that this is easier playing it best 2 out of 3 rather than doing an army system on the campaign map?
For me and the new guys, how did it work before this?
Basically, how it used to work was there were troopers, kind of units, like an actual Risk board. You moved divisions around. They could only move one tile at a time. You could only attack with so many. So it was like Risk, you actually had supply lines to have to worry around. You could only resupply at certain points. You had to worry about how people would move around and stuff.
So when you attacked, like today, like any of the matches, you would just attack, and it would be one attack, and that would be the end of it?
It would depend on how many divisions you attacked with. Usually it was a maximum of 3 divisions per side could be used, regardless of how many you attacked or were defending with.
Right.
And the winner would be whoever won. Like, every victory would be one less division on the tile for the enemy.
Huh. That's really
You will
interesting.
down to 0.
And then at the end of the day, you would get all those divisions refunded onto a headquarters territory, which then you could move out, and that's why supply lines came into place.
Right. That makes total sense.
For me personally, for the current iterations of the risk system going back through about BF3C5, I personally think they're way too attacker biased. I think we should reintroduce Fog of War, at least, at a minimum. Just because, like right now, the attacker picks the maps. They know exactly what they want to pick. They know exactly what they want to plan out. They drive the battle day as far as timing. They can say at the end of the defender's 5 minutes time, hey, it's time to go live. We're going live. If you guys aren't ready, too bad. And I just think it's way too attacker biased right now, but that's my opinion. And back when that decision was made, I'm sure there was very good reasons for making that decision that I don't have access to at this time. So it's kind of like a fine balance where you gotta play around with numbers a lot, and it takes some time to iron out. So
I mean, I don't know how armies on the campaign map really uh, gives even more advantage to the attacker. It just really sets a kind of a maximum amount of rounds played. You can attack weaker territories because they're being defended with fewer armies. It introduces the possibility to play more than just 2 or 3 maps in any given battle day. So I mean, the possibility of playing 5 or 6 different maps in battle day, and that's really the core reason the risk system was introduced in the first place, was to give us variety. And not just be playing the Firestorms and the Caspian Borders every week because those are the popular maps.
some of that has to do with map placement as well, though. You're not going to avoid that with any risk system. I mean, because we proved that through all of the risk systems of BF3, where we'd have weeks where Firestorm was attacked every single week in some variation just because of where it was placed on the campaign map. So, again, it's really comes down to luck of the draw as far as where things are placed by the HCs at the beginning of the campaign, and the divisions and stuff plays into it a little bit, but then we also had previous different abilities you could use in different campaign systems that we don't have as much of this campaign. So I think this campaign is going really, really well for what we tried to do, and I think we can expand upon it in the future to add some of the things we used to use previously back in, but at the same time, there's a balance between simplicity for ease of use and complexity for very, very deep metagame that GC has had in the past that some people really, really want to see back. So you just got to find that right balance, and it takes time to figure out.
Alright guys, with that we are going to close up. However, before that, I just want to say that today, being today the day that the podcast is being released, that there is going to be a Red Orchestra 2 event being hosted by Wildcard at SBT. So come along, it's a pretty good game.
Yeah, it was free on Steam last week. We had a day for it before the campaign started, and I think most of the people that showed up really enjoyed the game, and it's a good World War II, so less of the weapon attachments and craziness that some of BF4 entails, and it's a lot slower paced tactical shooter. So if you want to show up SBT tomorrow. We'd really like everybody who can to show up because it's a good game, and with a lot of organization that we'll be having because GC Play, it even shines a lot brighter. So show up at SBT tomorrow.
Which stands for Standard Battle Time.
Yes.
So I'll thank you for listening. I have been Gwinzer. With me today has been Ghoul, Matsif, Robert Willis, Lord Gonzo, and Whiskey Duck. Recording for us today has been Mr. Blue. Please rate, like, subscribe to our channel.